press one wrong button and Throt busts your
I feel
balls.
pretty today.
Oh, it's Monday.
Is it? Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, though? You know what? You know what?
No.
You know what? For the first time in, I don't know, 6 months, the weather forecast looks good. And
Yeah.
for the first time since the winter happened, it's actually getting better over time, not worse. Like, you know, you look at the weather and you're like, oh, maybe this weekend's going to be good. Oh, no. Oh, no. We're getting snow. Like, it's actually going in the opposite direction.
I've seen some temperatures coming up in the next few days that start with a 7. And that makes Brad happy.
Yeah, me too. I know. Our first baseball game, we bought those AAA tickets for the Iron Pigs, is on Friday.
Ooh.
And that has gone from being in the 40s to being in the 50s to being like, it's not going to be 70 at game time, but it's going to be 70 that day. Like, it's good stuff.
That is good stuff. It's going to lead to more of this back here, which was Friday. It's probably kind of hard to see, but we got a ball there and a ball there. I was playing just a par 3 course, and we're going to be doing some of that this week, I think.
Yeah.
At least hoping. Yeah, it really is. Other things that are good, Paul, for the dozens of Microsoft To-Do users, apparently subtasks are now live. Somebody tipped me off, Merlin.
I'm worried that my cynical nature has worn off on you in some negative way.
I'm more burned by this because I used to use Wunderlist, and then I was forced to abandon that like a ship in Sea of Thieves, and now I'm on Todoist, which I do quite like. I highly recommend it. But To-Do is finally coming around, and Merlin tipped me off this morning. It says, hey, subtasks now appear to be working. So they have, they're going on that. Good stuff.
Someone's actually working. So someone came back from spring break or whatever and put in a couple hours before heading out to the quad.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. Speaking of cynical things here, Paul, you know what's great to do on Fridays, like 4:30 p.m. Eastern time?
Start drinking?
That and or apparently announce new features for Skype, because that is exactly what Microsoft did.
Right. Oh, that's right. We forget. Skype is an ongoing concern.
Yeah.
And we forget because it seems like someone is purposely driving this plane into the ground.
But anyways, and so I've emailed Microsoft asking for more information because as is tradition with Microsoft, their blog post leaves a lot to be desired. But this is good stuff. Skype will soon make it a lot easier to record video calls, which I'm going to put a giant asterisk next to that because it's not like you're just going to be in a video call and then you hit a little button that says record and then it kicks out that video and saves it to a file, at least not based on the information that was shown. What they are saying is that I believe it's an NDI access protocol thing standard, which works with XSplit, which is what we are using right now to do all this fancy scene switching. And a couple others, vMix. It didn't specifically list OBS, which is another very popular tool, but we'll see. I would imagine it's going to work with that. But anyways, what they're promising is now that they're going to make it much easier to take the video feeds from Skype and inject it into these third-party applications to record calls for podcasting, or as they call Skype for creators or something like that.
Yes.
Which is great because currently, right now, the way we do it is through a patchwork system. And I'm going to be very curious to see how well this works because there's a lot of questions, which I emailed Microsoft. One, they specifically list Skype for desktop, which to me sounds like that's not the store app.
It is not. In fact, it's not officially even available anymore, is it?
Skype on Windows 10, that is. It's not available.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So that is question number one, is that are Windows 7 users going to have a more powerful version of Skype than Windows 10 users? Do. This is question number one. Question number two is, are we getting independent video feeds? Because right now we have independent video feeds coming into Skype, which allows us to do things like this. If it's just one lumped video feed into Skype that just has, let's say there's 4 people on it and 4 boxes, that is completely useless because then you can't do things like this. So that was the second question, is are we truly getting independent video feeds into these platforms? Ideally, we would also have independent audio feeds coming in as well, but I'm not going to hold my all my eggs in baskets and whatever, some sort of
I'm not going to hold all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, this stuff will probably be perfectly implemented just in time for Skype to go away. So, kudos for that, Microsoft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done anything like this personally in a long time. When I first started using Skype years and years ago, I used a third-party tool called Pamela, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound right? To record Skype calls. I sort of thought back in the day that I would, do video or just like phone call interviews with Microsoft folks and other people, record them, and then I could just take notes like a normal person. And that stuff has always been so buggy that I've developed into someone who just types a lot when people talk, and I try to write down as much as what they say as I can. And my retention level must be off the charts, like single digit, next to nothing because of that, So This kind of thing would be nice if they could get it to work.
Yeah. So I'm emailed them. Apparently they're announcing more information this week at a conference in Las Vegas. And somebody said I should get on a plane and fly to Las Vegas. And I said, no, I will email PR.
Is it NAB? Is NAB this week?
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
So we have that going on. Yeah, we will see. We will see. Hopefully I hear back today. I haven't heard back anything as of yet. I emailed them actually this morning, so we'll see. But that's good stuff. And then, Paul, there's a red iPhone out because I know that's what's been holding you back from buying an iPhone 8.
Yes. I've always liked the red iPhones for whatever that's worth. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why they don't just come out day one, but they don't. So, and also not for the iPhone 10 apparently. But if you haven't bought an iPhone 8 or 8 Plus and you are interested in the red color, which by the way I do think is pretty, it's kind of a nice deep red too. It's not like a light red. It's really nice.
Yeah, and they got a black front on it too, which is
right. Which may not have always been the case. I had a Project Red iPod Touch that was red, but the front was white.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's pretty fun, and you can give some money to HIV/AIDS research. I think Apple said they had given to date about over 11 years about $160 million thanks to sales of Project Red products.
Yep, and then like navigating like 5 things at once, which is always a good thing to do well on a podcast because our company and colleagues like to message us always during a podcast because we don't always do that at 11 o'clock.
Near universal, by the way.
Yep, always. So what's going on with 3x2 here, Paul? I saw you posted that up over the weekend.
Yeah, I spent a bunch of time over the weekend bringing computers up and resetting computers and everything, and I was looking at some of the recent HP computers that I had reviewed or written about, like the new Spectre 13 with that white and gold thing, which is beautiful. The HP Envy 13, which is a great little kind of mid-market machine. And then I'm reviewing right now the ThinkPad X1 Carbon. And all of them have the same problem. They are 16:9 displays that have a bezel on the bottom like this big. Because if they could fill that area with screen, and it would be probably 3x2, and it would be better. They're already, they don't even have to change the form factor. You will recall, because I talk to PC makers about this all the time, but you, Brad, will remember back in January when we talked to ThinkPad, and I asked about this, and I think he was like the lead designer or whatever, the ThinkPads, agreed with me that they very much want to go to square displays. Never wanted to leave them.
Yep.
But there was this kind of mad rush to 16:9, probably about 15 years ago when HDTV started happening. And back then, before the smartphone kind of took off and computers were how we did everything, they thought, well, people watch movies on these things. It makes sense to have this real widescreen display on PCs, and you can connect them to your TVs out in the living room and do media center and stuff. And for about 15 seconds, this seemed like a really good idea. But we ran down this rabbit hole, and now what we're doing is optimizing for the occasional instead of optimizing for the everyday. And I have examples in the article of real world, things that are like that. It's just bad decision. It's bad thinking, Brad, because you use a Surface Book every day, which has a 3x2 display. Surface Laptop does, Surface Studio does.
Right.
These displays are optimal for productivity work, which is actually how we use PCs today. I know there are exceptions, but for most people, vast majority, we get on that thing and we do work. And whether you want to run 2 apps side by side or one app full screen, whether it's video editing you're doing or in a huge Excel spreadsheet, or you've got Word open in a web browser that you're taking notes from, whatever it is, 3x2 makes way more sense. And all you have to do is just look at the design of these laptops. They literally are wasting over an inch in many cases of panel space that could just be display.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to. It's not like this thing gets taller because you made it 3x2. HP, the only concession they've ever made to this, because I argue with them a lot about this, is that 3x2 does make sense in 2-in-1 devices. So if you're ever going to use a thing like a tablet, you may know if you've ever tried it, like if you get like one of those IdeaPad or Yogas that Lenovo makes, those are 16:9 devices. When you turn it sideways, there's something about it. It looks like it's like this tall. Like it has a weird effect where it's like this giant tall thing. But when you have a 3x2 or a 4x3 display, like an iPad has a 4x3 display, when you turn it sideways, it looks very natural. It looks more like a piece of paper. And I'm sorry, but I mean, there is almost no example of why anyone would ever need a 16:9 display on a PC. Almost none. It is a little bit better for watching movies, you know. But again, in my theory of optimizing for the everyday, yeah, you may occasionally pop that lid open and watch a movie on it. And yes, when you do, there's going to be these bars on the top and the bottom. And so what? You know, I mean, but for everyday use, 3x2 is it. And I don't understand why we collectively as an industry are not using 3x2 everywhere. It's the one area, let me think about that. It's one of the few areas where Microsoft is actually innovating because all of their PCs are 3x2.
I was actually just trying to think the last time I watched a movie on a plane on a laptop, because that's the only place I really would watch a movie on one of these things, because why wouldn't I just go to the large TVs in the house, like that's behind me or whatever. And I know I'm not the normal person, but I would think the answer is actually never. I don't think I've ever... And,
you know, I mean, back in the day, I used to put everything on the PC. Before I went on a trip, I would sync all my podcasts to the thing and then sync from that to a device. Back, you know, a long time ago, 10 years ago, it would have been like a Zune or something. And then eventually to phones, because, you know, before phones were kind of standalone, you would do that. You would sync from the PC. So I'd have like movies on there that I could maybe watch while I was away. I'd have this, like I said, podcasts, audiobooks, same thing. And, you know, over time, these portable devices become more powerful and you don't need the PC as the interim step anymore. And you just, all I have on there now is work files. I don't want entertainment and silliness on there. This is for work, you know. This is also part of that right tool for the job theory, you know. You can, like, I happen to carry an iPad mini now when I travel. It's a tiny little device. It weighs next to nothing. It has 120 gigs of storage. It can hold all kinds of content. And if I want to watch a movie, that's what I do it on. And, you know, or you could just do it off the plane or whatever. I mean, I just don't. It's so bizarre that we're still stuck on this antiquated display type. But like you heard ThinkPad say, they held it as long as they could. They were 4x3 actually back in the day. They went to 16:10 first to kind of, you know, get the user base kind of used to it. And now they're all 16:9 and they can't get the parts, you know.
Yep.
The only 3x2 panels that are available are for low volume systems, which are in the PC space, tablets and 2-in-1s. And Surface devices. So, you know, when it comes to volume, like when you want to ship millions and millions of these things, you're getting 16:9. That's what's being made out in the world.
Yep. And
that needs to stop. It's stupid.
It's going to be really tough because everything is designed for 16:9 on the manufacturing side to get optimal usage out of that piece of glass. It's all set up for 16:9, so it's going to take a Herculean effort to abandon that.
I mean, you're used to using Surface devices. I mean, going to a laptop that has a 16:9 display is kind of weird. It just feels kind of crunched down, you know. It's got the wrong kind of real estate. You know, padding it out to the sides doesn't really buy you much. There's a little bit, you know, side by side's okay, but you know, in the type of work that you do, that one would do in a document type situation, it's portrait, you know, it's kind of a vertically scrolling kind of a thing. And even in situations where you're doing, you're outputting to a 16:9 format, like you would be in a video editor or in PowerPoint, you need controls around the thing you're looking at to, you know, to work on it. And those controls fit in that space. It's perfect. You know, I don't understand. There is literally no time when having all of the screen be 16:9 at your disposal makes any sense, unless you're watching a movie
Or making a 16:9 billboard.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Microsoft apparently open source file manager for from Windows 3.0.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Run it in Windows 10.
Jesus, like, give me a break. I miss the file, or what do you call it? The folder structure tree, where you would open each folder in turn, and they would have the little L-shaped lines that would go down,
Still superior to what is on macOS?
Actually, that might be true. I find the Finder windows to be very frustrating. And it's funny, those guys are doing what Microsoft is trying to do in many ways, which is remove complexity by getting rid of on-screen busyness, right? And when in doing so, they've made it very hard, for me anyway, to find where things are in the Finder. They've removed like common things like computer. Like I just want to navigate from the root of the file system. You have to be kind of a power user to know that you can kind of click on things in a UI that don't look like they're clickable to get like a tree and then, go find things. But yeah, Microsoft isn't the only one that gets this stuff wrong, believe me.
Well, you got anything else for today, Paul?
I don't know. Just prepping devices. I've got review devices I have to return. I have like that Huawei phone has to go back this week. I've got hello. I just dropped a bunch of stuff. That was me, not the cat. Yeah, I mean, I still have the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus review to write, or to publish, I should say. I think maybe today on that. Maybe I'll do that today. How about you?
No, I got nothing.
Excellent.
Actually, I've got a bunch of stuff to do this afternoon. None of it is relevant to anybody else other than myself and my career, I guess. But I don't know. Just making sure that the site keeps running and
sure
clients are happy. But yeah. Just dreaming about
enjoy these last 2 cold days, and then spring is going to belatedly happen.
We'll finish right where we started, because starting on Wednesday, the high is 61, Thursday is 73, and Friday is at 78, and you can do the zone conversions into Celsius if you'd like. But 78 is pretty close to about 27 C. So.
Is it?
Yeah, because 82 is 28.
82 is 28. Okay.
82F is 28 C.
Yeah, no, I understand. Okay.
All right, folks, well, that wraps it up for today, and we'll catch you right back here tomorrow on another fun-filled episode of First Ring Daily.